Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the third day of August 2020. Well, we have catalytic energy today for our moon day. So it's always fun when you got a three energy on a Monday. You know, you never know. How are we going to catalyze our emotions today? Are we going to do it in balance, or are they going to go crazy? Well, I don't know. You know, I'm just dealing with another wasp sting. I got stung again. So I just wanted to get some dirt for some pots. I'm repotting some uh, oh peppermint it's in a pot already, a big pot, but it's got too much grass growing in it, and so I just wanted to maybe give it a chance to actually grow. So without any interference. So I've got this other pot I'm going to put it in, and I've got some others I'm using, and there's more there than I thought there was. And so anyway, I had to stop though because I got stung again. I don't even know. This is like the fourth or fifth time just in the last what's it been? 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, something like that. Um, I had a nest start in the side mirror of my car, and so I think we've finally gotten rid of that, I think. But I got stung like, I don't know, 3 times from that. And of course it's multiple stings each time, and so it doesn't ever make me feel very good after it happens. I'm not allergic, but I still didn't feel well. And I didn't feel well after this one. But it was only one sting, fortunately. But I put comfrey on it. I did a poultice. Actually, I did two, one while I was still outside because I had to sit for a while. And then I came in the house, I took it off, put another one on, and grabbed some more leaves on the way in. And I don't know. After I had it on for about 2 hours, and after that there was no swelling. There was a little bit of discoloration, no itch, no pain, no nothing. So comfrey. I get a big leaf and one that has a decent sized stem on it. If you take the ones with just the little tiny stems that extend from it, they're not, and the stem is actually part of the leaf. It's not like there's a leaf that's attached to a stick kind of thing. Not like that. It's just part of the whole thing. And you can take and split that and scrape the gel that's inside of it out. Oh boy, it draws and it cools and it heals tissue. And so to use it fresh is best. I mean, you can take dried comfrey leaf and simmer it and make a poultice that way too. You can do that too. But fresh, I think, is best from the field. So anyway, I did that. It's fine. It's a little itchy this morning, but a little bit red, but I've got some comfrey liniment on it, and so that should take care of it. If it doesn't, I'll do a small poultice on it again today, but I don't think I should have any problems. But that stuff is just incredible. I love it. I just love it. It can grow wherever it wants. I don't care. Anyway. If this is your first time here, I chat a little bit, and then I move on to the cards, and then the rune, and then the geomancy rune to close out. But if it is your first time here, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you've come back, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who shares this time and learns about tarot and runes, and we just explore all of it together, and it's just a lot of fun, I think. I'm having fun anyway. I'm stepping outside my comfort zone in doing this, though, so just challenging myself in my old age. Anyway, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards. Now, I'm going to do them randomly. I'll take the 13th one each time. I'm not just simply going to lay them out. I think I did I did a special edition last Friday, and I think I did. I just laid the cards out, but I needed to know what was going on, so I thought I'd just share it. Anyway, let's go ahead and take the first card and see what we have. On this catalytic Monday. Oh, well, we get the Queen of Cups. We're going to start with the court. At least it's a queen. compassionate, loving, intuitive, empathic. I'm not a fan of patriarchy, as you know. If you've been here before, I think that we've had, and it's, yes, it focuses on men, but you know, there have been women that have not exactly contributed to any kind of egalitarian type of viewpoint in the world. So really, it's just really about energy and perspective that follows that. It just, I mean, it's basically causing what we're experiencing now. We're just supposed to accept lunacy in instead of truth. Yeah. And you're expected to believe it, even though you've got the truth staring you in the face. And I love it. It all started out in the beginning of listen only to me. Ignore the media, ignore what you see, ignore what you hear, listen only to me. Listen, I'm going to tell you, first time someone tells you that, oh boy, run the other way. Just run. I'm telling you, run the other way. But seriously, why would you ever give away your own sovereignty, your own ability to know what's true, and give that all to one guy who literally gets impeached for it? I mean, come on. Makes no sense, right? But that's what we've been dealing with. And it's very difficult now that we're trying to navigate a pandemic. Most of us know what to do, but you got others that don't, and they're acting like crazy people. I mean, what's with that? I guess they're still having Sturgis. You believe that? It's going to be a super spreader event. You watch. It'll make his little campaign rallies look like nothing. Jeez. Take our next card. I guess they're still having Laconia. I guess they're still having whatever's happening down in Florida. They're still having it. I don't understand that. I really don't. Well, I didn't even share that. I was so irritated. The moon. 18th card of the Major Arcana. Soul Archetype card. Change, transformation, deception. Balancing the shadow side of self with spirit. Transmuting ego into spirit. You know, there's just times when you need the right information. This is one of those times. You know, they're already sending kids back to school. One school I read, was it Georgia? Somewhere in Georgia? Or no, was that the kids' camp? They had a kids' camp, sleepaway camp. 260 kids came down with COVID. Oh, but kids don't transmit, right? Yeah, right. Right. It's a human body. It transmits the virus. Come on. What's the point of this? So parents can go back to work at jobs that don't exist because, you know, they didn't get the PPP loans. It all went to the rich people. And so now nobody can go back, or maybe it's the type of business where you can't keep anyone safe. It's not so easy to go back to work, you know, and we can't use the schools as a babysitter and an incubator, in effect. And that's what they want to do. They don't care about our children. That's clear. So we better care about them. It means you got to stop listening to that nutty guy in the White House. Don't listen to that. And now we find out that his little son-in-law decided, oh, well, you know, we don't need to worry. It's just in the Democrat places. So we're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna let them die. Was that it? Was that what he was thinking? What was he thinking? What was behind that? What did he think the outcome would be? And why was it okay? Something's really wrong here, folks. Something's really wrong. And the moon's talking about that. Got to have the truth in moments like these. There can be no misunderstandings. There can be no, oh, they think this, don't listen to that person, just listen to this crazy person here. I mean, come on. Ace of Wands. No expression of will. We may need a third or fourth card here. Let's talk about the moon. Well, you have a 9 energy for this. 18 reduces to 9. You see this, the moon in all its brilliance, looking down, none too happy at the dogs that are barking at it. You've really got either or here, okay? And I look at this in terms of deception and truth, all right? You can look at the brown dogs, we'll put that as the deception side. We'll look at the light dog, the light colored dog, as truth. But realistically, you could look at the dark dog as the truth that's being hidden. And the light colored dog is the one that's actually the deceptive one, because they're expecting you to believe what you see instead of what you know. So let's switch it back. Let's switch it around. Let's put the dark colored dog, the brown dog, as the one that actually has the truth of the situation. But it's the truth that's trying to be hidden by the light of the other one. A decision needs to take place. You see the 2 pillars there, the 2 towers. You see the windy path or whatever coming down from the mountain. Now, if it were blue, we could say for sure it's just a little stream, but because it's not, there's a sense of barrenness to it. We'll just think of it as a path. It's windy, it's not straight, it's narrow, but, or at least appears narrow. And then we see a lobster coming out of the water, suggesting transformation and rebirth. In terms of this polarity, in terms of this weird thing we've got going now between truth and deception, truth and lies. Lie, 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 lie. Everything is a lie that comes out of this man's mouth. And so and the people that are with him. Oh, you got the vice president who runs around and tells everybody, oh, the virus is flattening in your state when it's out of control. You see what I mean? You've got, I just really think that what you have here is the deception in the light of day and the truth that they want to remain hidden. And the transformation of perception that's going to need to take place, the decision surrounding that, so that we can actually understand the truth of what's going on. You know, the problem is, it's gaslighting, okay? We've talked about this before. What happens when someone gaslights? Let's just put it in terms of spousal abuse, okay? Say you got a man, or we'll just do it from the woman's standpoint. Say you've got a woman in the partnership, a man and a woman, okay? And you've got, because usually we talk about it from the patriarchal standpoint, but we'll talk about it from just the dynamic in the relationship. Say you have one person that gaslights the other. In a traditional spousal abusal situation, it would be the man who is, abusive to the wife. And what he'll do is the classic example is he'll hide something she's looking for, maybe her car keys, her wallet, or whatever. She's got to go. She's got to go to work or whatever. She's late, appointment, whatever. And she set her car keys down or her wallet or whatever, and now she's looking for it, but he's taken it. And he just sits there. I don't know where that is. I haven't seen it. But he knows exactly where it is. And then after he's watched her, freaking out for running around, losing her mind, then suddenly when she's not looking, he puts it back right where she had it. And then she comes back and she sees it. Now, this kind of dynamic happens often enough in this relationship, and pretty soon that woman is going to decide, I can't trust my own thoughts. I can't trust my own perception. And this man has done this to her. Okay. Now, whether it's a spouse or whether it's a partner, and it really doesn't make any difference if it's the guy doing it to the girl or the girl doing it to the guy, or two women doing it to, or two men. It doesn't matter who it is. If you've got one person who tries to convince the other person that they're losing their mind about something, in other words, it can also happen when you have a partner that does nothing but disagree with you, even when they don't. It's the mental exercise they want to engage in, but you don't understand the game they're playing. So you think you're losing your mind. It's like, well, no, you just said this. Oh, no, I didn't. I never said that. What are you talking about? You know, that's gaslighting. Okay. It's designed to keep people off balance. So when you have a government that lies at the level that this guy does, when you have a president, when you have all of his people who lie at the level that they do, believe only me, don't believe any of the what you think is truth around you, what the media says, what you know, what you see with your own eyes, that's gaslighting. Now that's been happening now for almost 4 years. Well, longer than that if you consider the campaign as well prior to the election in 2016. But we have been collectively experiencing gaslighting all this time. And now when we need to know what we need to know about that pandemic, you got people that don't believe you got to wear a mask. Or that this drug that they've got all these dosages of that they purchased for the national stockpile that they got to unload now. Now all of a sudden you see a bunch of doctors coming out saying, "Oh yeah, that's the right thing to do." No, it isn't. Gaslighting, okay? Deception. And that's what we have, at least I believe, with this. Now, it's a 9 energy, so we need to see an end to it. A decision needs to be made. That's why you see the 2 towers there. We've got to choose what path we want to be on. Do we want to live in the full light of day, or do we want to live within the moon's deception? But I can tell you in this card, the moon's none too happy about it. It's like, get over yourselves, transform, understand what's really going on here. Now, the Queen of Cups, again, cups is our emotions, is a different type of authority. It's a quiet authority. I love this card though. Her cape right here, her cloak, literally merges into the rocks below, doesn't it? She sits at the water's edge. She has her beautiful ornate cup there that she's holding. You see the cherubs on her throne. It's almost as if she's in silent meditation over the deception that's going on, keeping her own inner counsel, knowing what she knows. It's the awareness when you're being conned and manipulated and you're not really sure what to do about it because you're not the power or authority and control of this. And so you're having to contend with it. So you go within and you know what you know. You access higher self information, and awareness, and you know what you know. You know which path you're on. And it's not the path of illusion. She's aware of the emotional needs of others. In other words, she's aware of her own emotional needs. And we have a fundamental emotional need for truth. And when we don't get it, it's just the worst, is it not? And especially when you know you're being played and there's nothing you can do about it. Or at least it doesn't seem like there is. You know, likely at some point there will be, but in the interim, you just sit there and you don't know what to do. But at the bottom line, you understand the emotional resonance of what's going on. And the other aspect of the Queen of Cups is you're talking about empathic ability and awareness, which is our fundamental, it's our natural state, everyone's, whether you're consciously an empath or not. I am, and so I also know though that it's our default state. It's the soul state of things. You know, it's the resonance of that. You know, the whole thing about the creator is all that is. Well, if that's true, which I believe that it is, then all that is the creator expressing itself into form. Now, I tend to look upon the creator as the great mother, but that's just me. That's just something to call it. It's not necessarily that's what it is, but to me, creation comes from the woman, not from the man. It comes from that loving feminine energy, but the creator itself has no gender. But the creator is filled with love, and so what is love? Love's an emotion. And when you're an empath, you understand the emotional resonance of everything, and that is the fabric of existence that holds us all together, is love. So when I say being an empath is our default state, I really mean that. The intuitive side of things, it's like, well, which are you? I had someone say, well, I would think in your chart that you're this and you're really more intuitive than empathic. It's like, well, did you know my astrological chart is filled with a whole lot of water element stuff? No, you didn't know that because you're looking at a different one. But you didn't know that. Bottom line, when we get into form, that's where the intuitive part happens. That's here. That's not, we don't think of it that way in soul form. We simply resonate with one another in that energetic source presence that we all are. Okay, that's love. That's emotion. So when we see the Queen of Cups, we're saying we need to access that aspect of self now and understand with empathy, something that the guy in the Oval Office doesn't possess. But that's why he's doing what he's doing. He can't understand the effect he has on other people, the mass effect that he has. So therefore, we need a new expression of will, one that invokes empathy. Hand reaches out from the cloud of mystery, with strength, holding a crude club, representing the suit of wands or the fire element or our will, creativity. It's basically the creative force invoking our will. But are we going to invoke it in terms of deception, or are we going to invoke it in terms of compassion and empathy for others and true understanding of what's really at stake, and not from a self-dealing standpoint? You see, this is understanding the greater picture. Let's do one more card before we move on to the rune. In fact, we could literally put the Ace of Wands in the center instead of the moon, and because I view the aces as having just as much value as and weight and strength, basically, because they're said to embody everything within the minor arcana within that particular suit, and so is contained within the ace, right? It's the genesis of new will development, the genesis of the new creative force, the new creative impetus for change and for bringing things into balance. The club here is held straight up and down, so that's not tilted one direction or the other. It's in balance, you see. So to bring things back in balance, you're going to have to get rid of the patriarchy and the deception that always seems to stem from it, and come back into a more egalitarian existence where truth is favored over some kind of service to self-dealing approach. It takes on a service to others approach at that point. And so I think realistically, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the Ace of Wands in the center, and then we'll have the decision that's made surrounding that, having to do with having the new invocation of will to have to do with coming back into harmony with one another, expressing empathy and compassion, and figuring out, dark and light. What are we gonna live in truth, or are we gonna live in illusion? And I think that the deception of the moon is that we might be tempted to look at the light-colored dog as the truth. But again, it's a card of deception, so maybe it's the brown-colored dog that the light is no longer shining on it, maybe. And so it's like, no, 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 look at me only. Don't, you know, ignore the truth, ignore what you read, ignore what you see with your very own eyes. So, in other words, cleave only unto me instead of to what you know. Ignore the man behind the curtain. Ignore the man in front of the curtain who's spewing out all the lies, because you got to believe them, or bad things will happen to you. See, there's the underlying threat as well that preserves a level of well, deception, disharmony, division. Doesn't need to be there. Let's do one more card. It's going to be so nice. Oh, Queen of Wands. See, we need a little different viewpoint here, don't we? We need a more of a feminine experience here. Now, she's going to she's got rams on her and lions on her throne. She's looking at her sunflower that she's holding in her left hand, the vitality from the feminine side of self, the receptive side of self. If you think left and right, left is receptive, okay, right as projective, all right. It's a drawing in type of an energy versus a push energy. We all have auras. Some auras are enveloping. Mine's enveloping, so mine's a pull energy. I pull it to me. I'm an empath, so yeah. And my husband, on the other hand, he's Sagittarian. He has a push energy. And I've talked about this before. For me, and if you're empathic, see if this resonates for you. But I'm sitting in my chair, and my husband's standing up, maybe, I don't know, 5 feet away from me. And he'll be ranting about one thing or another, not at me, but just about something. And it's like sometimes he'll even lean a little bit, and boy, I'm like, because I feel it. It's like when you open an oven and the heat comes out and hits you in the face, you kind of have to step back because the heat's hitting you in the face. It's the same. I experience the same thing energetically with him or anybody. You know, I have to move back sometimes physically because it's too much. And so that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Now, the difference between one queen and the other, you have the Queen of Cups that's more receptive, but maybe you have the Queen of Wands that's maybe a little more projective in her energy. So she's going to take command of the situation and likely get the king under order. The Wands and Swords are going, the queens of those two suits now, they're going to be like that. Whereas the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups, they're going to be more receptive, because earth and water are receptive energies, and then air and fire are projective energies. They're more dynamic. They're more in your face about things. They're going to tell you how it is. And she's going to use the strength of the rams, and they're not rams, I'm sorry. Rams. Those aren't rams. Those are lions. And then you see the sunflower and the lions reflected above. Those aren't rams. They're lions. Duh. But you see her cat right there looking on like, like, what do you want? You can see, though, that her staff is bent, isn't it? It's not perfectly straight. So she's got some that's a little bit going toward the projective side, but if you look at the staff, it's mostly bent toward the receptive. So even though she's dynamic and likely has a projective type of an aura, a projective type of a presence, she's going to handle authority a little bit differently than, say, the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles will do. But she's still going to speak truth to power, and she's not going to take any crap off of anyone. So for her, she isn't going to, just like the Queen of Swords, she isn't going to allow the energy to get away from her or from anyone else. She keeps it quite contained right here. Balancing will with will with emotion, with the emphasis more on emotion, because that staff actually bends more toward the receptive side there, to her left side. It's I know it's we're reading it kind of backwards there, but I'm doing this from her perspective, not from ours. So I guess that in terms of deception, we just need a new path forward. We need to resolve that issue. We need to resolve whatever the issue is between why we cannot, I guess, seem to let go or demand, maybe that's what it really is. It isn't that we need to let go of it, it's that we need to demand the truth. I keep coming back to the Ace of Wands, and to me, that's just fundamental truth being expressed in a dynamic way, especially when it's a hand that reaches out from the cloud. That's the hand of spirit, suggesting, no, we need to have will and balance here. And I think that we see the Queen attempting to do that. Balancing will with emotions. See, there you could see a balance right there. I've drawn, well, let's see, I can't tell here. It's I was. Let me set that down though. We've kind of got a couple different readings here if you think about it. If we take, how shall I do this? All right, we've got the moon. And then we've got two expressions of feminine energy. But it basically, it isn't just that, it's projective and receptive energy in balance from a different perspective of the woman. These are concerns over family, home, hearth, traditionally at least. Whereas the father figure in the or the male figure in the family might be concerned with his own issues. I've seen that time and time again where, you know, the guy in the family is off doing his own thing at the bar, doing whatever, off with his friends, while mom and the kids are at home just living, you know, trying to live their life. I grew up in that. For a time before my parents got divorced, where my mother had to keep the family unit together while my father was out carousing with whomever, drinking, doing what he was doing. Sometimes he would be so drunk that by the time he was a school teacher, high school teacher, by the time he'd close the bars, he'd be up, he'd still be drunk when he went to school. He'd come home, be home for a few minutes, leave, go, and we'd never see him, which was fine. Worked for me. But that's what happens, see. So there you had a real imbalance between projective and receptive energy. My mother being a Taurus, you know, she did what she had to do to keep the family together. You know, she worked, but at the same time, you know, she still maintained the family unit. If we extrapolate that into the greater society, we have male dominant energy, patriarchal energy, projective energy that wants to control the masses in a way that's fundamentally unsafe, it's harmful. And the feminine voices are hindered, are suppressed. That side of things is so when we say no, we don't want to send our kids to school in a pandemic, they don't listen. They don't care. They have one single-minded focus, and that's on money. The money we as the masses can give to them, the rich people. That's what this is all about. It's not just about masculine and feminine energies here, about different polarities. It's about class issues as well. It's almost like it's the last vestiges of that trying to stay in control. But in reality, the only way forward is together in an egalitarian situation. Rebuilding who we are to one another, balancing the shadow side of self with spirit, figuring out a way to go forward in truth and harmony and not in deception. So we have Iwas bringing in the spirit energy to do that. It's Laguz up and down in a way. 13th rune of the Elder Futhark, it's the 4 energy. It's really about how we structure our lives based on spirit informing that process. It's the only way that you make the balance better. It's the only way we shift in terms of our will to one that is more matriarchal based, I guess. I don't know. I mean, the idea is to not have one or the other, right? But you cannot go forward together based on lies and deception either of the type of dynamic that we have right now. It leads to the police issues that we have. It leads to the fact that we don't have that the administration is at the Supreme Court now trying to take away your health care, take away your health insurance again, to destabilize all of that. We cannot live in destabilizing energy all of the time where we don't know if we can maintain a job, or if we get sick, are we going to have health insurance to cover that? Are we going to go bankrupt? Are they going to make us send our children back to school in a pandemic where they can all get sick? How is that okay? And why is nobody listening? This is the struggle. I'm telling you, the struggle. We can talk about it being from the moon standpoint, or we can talk about it really from the Ace of Wands. What kind of will are we going to express? And is it going to be one that favors spirit? Or is it going to be one that continues to favor the ego? This is an as above, so below rune. Are we going to bring spirit into this, or are we just going to let ego take over? Because in my view, it seems like all we're doing is we're letting ego take over. And that's all that's been taking over all of this time. Let's see, I think that this is Albus. Let me see. Yep. And like in the Harry Potter movie, Albus Dumbledore, Albus is a wise individual. It reflects spirit wisdom, reflects the sage. It reflects wise counsel. So I think that I don't think we've been getting much wise counsel. I think that that's what the moon is suggesting here. I think whereas you've got people like Dr. Fauci who want to tell us the truth about all of this, but then he is I cannot watch Jim Jordan speak in a hearing because I find him to be outrageous, outrageously insulting, and to talk to Dr. Fauci like he did, I can't listen to it. But I read about it. That's about all I could do. Otherwise, I would be screaming at the television. When you take somebody who has spent his life in service to truth, and you have you have an administration now and certain members of Congress who are so focused on disrupting the truth, to see the devil everywhere, to see the enemy everywhere. If you say something, well, you're automatically a liar, trying to insert some kind of diabolicalness into someone who has never done anything but serve this country. He's somebody you can trust, and to treat him this way, especially in the midst of a pandemic, it's basically to suggest that what they're telling us isn't true. So you have to ask yourself, why would somebody do that? It makes no sense, and yet here we are. So hear the voice of Spirit today. Understand the truth of what's really going on, and align yourself with that which will bring compassion and unity and a cohesiveness to any expression of will today. You know, just because will is there doesn't mean it has to be expressed badly. But we're seeing that now, and we need a shift to a more compassionate, receptive presence, even in our expression of will. One that, again, is focused on empathy and compassion and a greater understanding of what we're dealing with. And also the last aspect of that is protecting those that can't protect themselves, our children. I would think that insisting our children go back to school when there's no safe way to do that, I would think that I would hope anyway, that that's the last straw for all of you. That if you had any confusion at all over what's real here, you get it now. Those are our babies. Don't let them hurt our babies. And that's, I guess, what I'm going to close with here. The wisdom of protecting the young from anyone that would harm them. To me, had I been confused before, that would have been it for me. So hopefully it will be it for you as well if you're confused about any of this, but they don't care what happens to our kids. Let that sink in. This is a bad disease. People, I've been talking to people online who are calling themselves long haulers. What they're coping with is horrible. The symptoms that they have, what's happening to their bodies is horrible. And they're supposedly, it's no longer, they're fine, you know, they're healed, they're well, they're not that, but are they? What is this thing? See, I don't think we know yet. So, above anything, we need to be protecting our children, don't we? Isn't that what we want to do? It's what any mother would want to do. Any grandmother would want to do. I would hope that men would follow suit. My husband certainly is. I look at my son, my youngest, they have 2 kids, ages 1 and 3. My son would do anything for those children. He would move heaven and earth to protect them. Why can't our president do the same? My husband, same way. Good role model for the boys. Would do anything to protect those kids. Would do anything to protect our grandchildren. Would do anything to protect someone else's. If he saw something was happening, he would do something to stop it. He would interfere. He'd get in the way. He'd do good trouble. Thank you, John Lewis. That's where we need to be now. We need to be John Lewis and get into some good trouble today. So thanks so much for watching. Went a little long today, but it's a Monday. It's the first Monday of the new month, And so I just wanted to take a little extra time, especially with when I saw we had two queens. It's like, oh boy. Yeah. We've lost that understanding in the federal government of protection and compassion. It's just not there now. So maybe in November we'll replace that guy with someone who can. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching and for coming by, and click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. Check out the blog over at Stepping Aside at imsteppingaside.com, and also watch for the esoteric influences every day. I just do this 4 days a week unless I have a special edition like last week. But in any event, have a good day and be good to yourself, be good to one another, wear a mask if you go out, and blessed be.